All right, good morning. This video is on notes on dividing radicals. My name is Miss Chambers. And if you're watching this video, then you are probably in my Algebra 2 class. And today's date is February the 5th, 2020. And make sure you put your period number so that if you lose your notes, I won't throw them in the trash. All right, so let's get right into it. So if you did not look at my notes for multiplying radicals, then you need to stop what you're doing and go look at the last video on multiplying radicals, because none of this will make sense unless you get those notes. All right. So the steps for dividing radicals. Step 1, we have to do something called rationalize. Rationalize. And I will explain to you what that means later. Step 2 will be to multiply. So again, if you do not know how to multiply radicals, go watch that last video or come to tutorials, because this will not make any sense. Multiply. There we go. I'm missing some. And the last step will be to simplify. Can y'all see that? Simplify. Y'all know I can't spell. All right, let me write that in black so y'all can see what it says. All right, so rationalization. That basically what rationalizing is we got to get, you see how there's a radical in the bottom? We got to remove it. So to rationalize, you rationalize in these easy steps. First, you got to multiply the denominator and the numerator by this radical that's at the bottom. So I'm going to multiply this by the square root of b on the top and on the bottom. So again, if you do not know to multiply, go watch the other video. So I'm going to multiply a times the square root of b. This is going to give me, I multiply my coefficient. This is a coefficient here, and there's an invisible 1 coefficient here. So this will be a times the square root of b, whatever that is, over the square root of b times the square root of b. Now, if I were to work this out and simplify it, this will simplify into just b squared, which will simplify to just b. And of course, you will get that pattern as we go through some practice problems. But rationalizing is basically this step here. This is rationalizing. And then the rest of this is simplifying. So rationalization is removing, is the process of removing a radical from the denominator. There we go. Y'all know I can't spell. All right, so the steps to do that, and I guess I can write the steps here, is you're going to multiply the numerator, there we go. And so that's the top. And denominator, that's the bottom. I get them mixed up sometimes, y'all. By the radical. All right, so that's basically what we're doing to rationalize. So let's look at number 1. Once we go through these 3 examples, this will make a lot of sense. So we have 3 divided by the square root of 6. So of course we have to rationalize. So we're going to multiply this, the top and the bottom, by the square root of 6. So I'm going to multiply the square root of 6, multiply by the square root of 6. This will be equal to, so now I'm going to simplify 3 square root of 6 on the top over, and I said if we do this, it's going to simplify into just whatever that number is. So I'm going to do it the long way and show you how it simplifies. So this will be equal to the square root of 36, because 6 times 6 is 36. And I know that the square root of 36 will simplify into just 6. So notice, remember how I said this is b times square root of b times square root of b ends up being just b. It will always happen that way. So I have the square root of 6 times the square root of 6 will be square root of 36, which is just 6. So now I'm going to simplify this. I'm going to simplify these coefficients here. So it's just like a fraction, like 3 over 6. So 3 over 6 is just like 1 over 2. So I have 1 times the square root of 6 over 2. And this is my answer. Or just the square root of 6 over 2. You can also write it like this. So that's how you divide. Let's do number 2. So step 1 is to rationalize. So I'm going to rationalize. I'm going to take this bottom radical here and multiply it by the top and the bottom. So on the top, I'm going to multiply this by the square root of 5. Multiply the bottom by the square root of 5. This is going to give me on the top, I multiply my coefficients. This is just 1. Then I'm going to multiply my radicands. 10 times 5 is 50 on the top. And this will simplify into just 5. So now I have 50 times the square root of 5. So I need to simplify. I need to simplify the square root of 50. So I'm going to simplify over here. So my factors of 50 are 1 times 50 and 2 times 25. I know that 25 is a perfect square. So the square root of 50 will simplify to square root of 2 times the square root of 25. I took out 25 because 25 is a perfect square. This will simplify into 5. And this will not simplify. So I have, if I go back to my problem, I'm replacing this now. So let me rewrite it. I had the square root of 50 over 5, correct. And then I just simplified the square root of 50 to be 5 and the square root of 2. So I'm going to write 5 and the square root of 2 on the top over 5. Do y'all see how I went from here to here? All I did was simplify this 50 here. This is my work here. And then replaced it back on the top. Okay? Now I see that I have 5 on the top, 5 on the bottom. It's just like a fraction. That's 5 over 5. So my answer is just the square root of 2. Because these two cancel out. All right? So that's number 2. Let's do one more. One more. So first we got to rationalize. So I got to multiply the top and the bottom by the square root of 8. So I got the square root of 8. Square root of 8. I got to multiply my coefficients. So that's going to give me 2 times the square root of 24 over 8. So now I got to simplify the square root of 24. So to list my factors of 24. I got 1 times 24, 2 times 12, 3 times 8, and 4 times 6. I'm going to take out 4 and 6. This is going to simplify to the square root of 4 times the square root of 6. 4 simplifies into 2. And the square root of 6 does not simplify. And I'm going to bring this down. So I have 2 times 2. And that's going to give me 4 square root of 6. So remember, I'm simplifying this part up here. This is my work for that. So now I'm just going to replace this on top. So I had 2 square root of 4 over 8. This 2 in square root of 4 is equal to 4 square root of 6. So I have 4 square root of 6 over 8. I got to simplify that. So 4 over 8 is just like 1 over 2. So I have the square root of 6 over 2. And this is my answer. So I know we kind of jumped. This was a lot really fast. but I think that you guys will be able to get it with practice. So if you need help, please come to my tutorials. And of course, if you need extra credit, this is how you get it.